Hi everyone, it's Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 9 and beyond. 2020 bold predictions, and that means that this is going to be our last bold prediction of 2019. Couple interesting things 2019. One, we're less than 2 weeks away from the end of 2019. And also, it's been like a month since we've had The Walking Dead. And you know what? We're all still here. We're doing well. And we're about 2 months away from getting back into the whole thing. So we're going to keep you guys occupied, keep everybody hopefully excited, energetic, all of the above. I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon Army. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. You guys can see them up on the screen. I could probably make a whole stream about the Patreon Army and just a tremendous group of people that support this channel all year long. The sponsors up in the top right-hand corner. And you can see Trigger getting some super stickers in this stream already. So thank you so much, Trigger. Appreciate that. And we are not doing our pack openings tonight, but Trigger did just remind me of something that is going to go down tomorrow. So pretty big event that we're going to do tomorrow. We are going to roll out a Play Dead Live duels scenario. So it's going to be like our trivia where we do a little bit of back and forth and show you guys a real quick sneak peek of tomorrow in case you are wondering. We've been hyping this up for a couple weeks. We're just maybe 2.5 weeks away from our Play Dead Live official rollout. But tomorrow night, this is a little bit of what you guys are going to see. We got our booster box, and as you guys can see, there's some special blue foil packs. So I'll explain that tomorrow night so you guys will know what's up with that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some neat items that you'll only see tomorrow that you won't see throughout the rest of the year. So this is our end of year. We're going to make it an event. If you guys don't have any gear yet, save a few dollars, pick up a pack, and go into Play Dead Live with at least some sort of weapon so you don't start out with the back of a broom handle because you never know how long you're going to last with the broom handle. You guys ready to get some bold predictions? Got some good stuff set up for tonight. I mean, I think there's going to be another Pike scene, but we're going to kind of roll through. We're not going to go episode by episode, but we are going to go through what we think the major events that are going to happen. Before we get too far into it, can I get the green team to do me a favor, though? Because we are winding down 2019, as we said, and I want to give a shout-out to our super fans for December. How about Kimberly M. and Crystal, the singer chick Gore? We got emojis loaded up there for them. Great job. They represent our group extremely well. Matthew, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. It's good to have you in trivia earlier this week. We're having a lot of fun with Monday mashups. Monday will be our last Monday mashup of 2019. So it's like as you get closer and closer, it's all of these last. And I guess it's a little bit, it's a little sad because it was a pretty good year. I guess, you know what, I'm going to make the announcement now. I'm going to do something, and you guys don't have to be hyped up about it, but it's something I've always wanted to do, and I know they do it on the radio. So I ran this through the mods, and they like the idea. So next Friday, during Freestyle Friday, we're going to roll some characters really quickly, but I also thought it would be a good idea to count. We haven't done a lot with music. How would you guys feel about tuning in next Friday night, and we'll do a music countdown, 99 greatest songs of all time to close out the year. And, you guys can talk about what your favorite songs are, agree with the list, disagree with the list. I enjoy it. I always listen to the music countdowns, and I mainly listen to, the last 15 or 20. But I think it would give us a nice mix. So next Friday night, we're going to add that to our Freestyle Friday. We're not doing 100. We're doing 99 for the 999. The first ones we'll roll through pretty quick. I'm sure there'll be some drinking and some singing and some karaoke and just a lot of stuff. So tune in for that. Tune in with us all week. We are going to take a few days off around the holidays, though. So let's start out with a cave. We're going to start out with the cave. We know that is going to be the immediate drama when we start out the second half of the season. We've seen Jerry stuck in the cave. We've seen Magna. Looks like she's being hunted down. We know that we got Connie in the cave, so whether Connie will make it out or not, I think we're going to lose at least 2 in the cave. What do you guys think? Who thinks we're going to lose at least 2 in the cave? And if you do, Type them right now. Let me know which two. Sheila's saying Connie needs to live. I would want Connie to live. I just don't think she is. Ron says only one. Matthew says R.I.P. Magna. So here's why I'm going to say 2, maybe 3. Oh, hold on now. I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why I think it's going to be at minimum of 2, maybe 3. I'm going to give you 3 names. Connie, Kelly, and Magna. Now, first, I know some of you are going to say, Kills, come on, you're crazy. I'm going to tell you why. Magna is in serious trouble. We've seen it. Somebody's after her. Who is after Magna? And why is Magna in a different place than the other people? Gushe Gushe says Beta. Okay. Do you guys believe there's a second Pike scene? I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in the preview for The Walking Dead all season long, and it looks like a different group of people. So do you guys feel like there's going to be a second Pike scene? Okay. Those of you saying yes, and there has to be, it appears that Magna is one of the ones on the Pike. And for Magna to be separated from the group, to me, would say that if Alpha lured them in and Magna starts to get out and the group thinks like, hey, Magna's going to go get some help, bring us back to safety, and Alpha takes Magna and whack, there's Pike number 1. My prediction is Magna will be a Pike. If Alpha's going to put people on Pikes, you have to think about what's going to get them in that situation, right? So I think if there is going to be a second Pike scene, it's going to be a desperation. It's not going to be like a border. It's going to be like a look at what I just did. The first Pike scene was to mark territory. This one is to say, F you. I'm Alpha, and I'm just going to run reckless over all your people. And by the way, I got Magna. Look at this. It's going to be more of Alpha's artwork, of what she's able to do. So I think Magna makes the border. But not only do I think Magna makes the border, I think this border is going to be a principal border where Alpha is going to get one of kind of each. The cave, Alexandria, Oceanside, maybe the way back from Oceanside, and they're just going to be souvenirs. Boom, take it. And because of that, because I've got Magna, I think Rachel is going to be one of the ones that's on the Pikes as well. I'm going with Rachel. I think Oceanside is betrayed. I think Oceanside gets overran. So I'm thinking Rachel and Magna. But also, there was kind of a big, hairy person that was on that Pike as well. And some people thought initially, if you zoom in, some people thought it's Ezekiel, and some people said it's Jerry. But there's one thing that I'm going to put on my bold prediction. It's really, really bothering me right now. And that is why Luke is with Judith and why they can't stay in Oceanside. They've got to go back to Alexandria. So I don't like the fact that Luke is kind of like the guardian, and I feel like Luke is going to be a souvenir. And Judith is just going to have to get away. So if Judith has to get away, that would, in certain terms, also make it tough for Michonne to come back to Judith as well. This second half is going to be really, really weird with Michonne. So I'm going to talk tonight about the Pikes, some of the stories, and why I don't think Michonne is coming back to the mainland. I don't think Michonne is going to make it back to the East Coast. We talked a little bit about Michonne and if she was captured, if something happened, because we saw a little bit of the hood and the weapon and the things she was going through. Upon further review, that is a flashback scene. So it's interesting. So it was made to look, because they give you this quick clip of Michonne, and she has this burlap type of hood. But if you go back and look, it's the hood that she had when she was first introduced. It's her cape. So I don't think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is there another character that interacted with Michonne in season 3? That saw Michonne in that situation, in that cape. Got a couple super chats, and I'm going to come back to this. Yes, Wilson, you absolutely heard Gabby. Gabby is very vocal. And becoming more and more vocal by the day. Will the Bill. Kelly dies in the cave. Magna, Jerry, and Luke are captured and piked. Judith is captured. Negan goes crazy. I'm okay with that. I think that works. Will, the only pushback I would give you on that super chat is just based on rumors. And you guys know, we've mentioned this in stream, is the rumor initially it was Kelly, and now it's speculated that it's Connie. Not my rumor. I'm just telling you what's out there a little bit. But I'm going to go one further. Will, and see, this is why I put this in there. So Will says, Magna, Jerry, and Luke all captured. I'm okay with that. I don't know about Jerry being piked, but possibly. But how about both the sisters die for each other? Does Connie have to survive? Does Kelly have to survive? Could they not both die in the cave and both sacrifice for each other? Kelly gets in trouble. She's losing her hearing. She can't do anything. Connie has to help. Connie did say, I will do anything, family will do anything for each other. I think it's a beautiful story if Connie does die for Carol. And I also think that Connie dying, certainly it makes this Daryl relationship less confusing. So Will the Bill says, okay, Connie's piked and Will goes crazy. No, I don't think Connie or Kelly get piked. I think both die to these walkers inside the cave. That would be my bold prediction. So Taya says Connie dying makes her connection with Daryl pointless. I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I think it makes her connection with Daryl much, much more powerful. That Daryl is afraid to connect because of situations like this. I actually think it makes Daryl more profound and more of the authority of knowing all these people fall for somebody and they lose somebody, and all these people get in too far and they get emotionally connected to them only to be destroyed. And hey, I ain't falling for nobody. Because what's the point? What's the point of doing it if it's just going to be temporary? Because people do not have a very long lifespan in a zombie apocalypse. That, Taya, for me, from the artistic standpoint and the writing standpoint. Now let me take it over, and thank you so much, Gushy Gushy. Appreciate that super sticker. Love me some super stickers. A lot of emotion with that. We got Fluff the Flamethrower. Maybe the sisters see Magna in the cave, go off on their own after her, and don't hear walkers near them. I'm not going to disagree. I mean, and this is what this is all about. Get your bold predictions included in this right now, because I do want to talk about your bold predictions, and I'm going to touch on that in a second, Fluff. And Will the Bill saying behind the scenes. I do. I love that. All right, so Will the Bill and Fluff will tie all this into one thing. Let's go behind the scenes. And it's okay. And I'm going to add Taya to that list as well. It's okay. Taya says, I'm just bitter. Connie's a good character, and I hate that she has to die to push Daryl forward. I agree more with that sentiment than I think the other sentiment. But here's the flip side of that. Kind of for all three. And if I see a fourth person, I'm just going to jump. We're just going to jumble it all together. It's fine. Daryl being in a relationship is complicated for both his story and the viewers. And I'm not suggesting that, look, millions of female Walking Dead fans are going to be jealous because Daryl's claimed and taken on a TV show. That's not the gist of it. It's easier, though, to write him as that lone wolf, dirty, tough, I don't give a damn about anything character, staying true to his character and giving a little bit, like he did with Beth, like he did with Connie, but never being able to crack that and break him down. And I think this is showing that Daryl is improving, but not changing 100%. That he's just not, hey, you know what? Forget this. I'm just going to be in love for the rest of my life, and you go shoot the arrow. You go take up for the innocent people. Daryl Dixon's out to lunch. I don't think Daryl's going to transform to that. And to all 3 points, it is a story that has been told. I'm okay with it being told again, as long as it's slightly different and it adds a different layer to Daryl. And I do think that Daryl is much, much more intriguing this season because he has more dialogue and he opens up a little bit more. But the other thing that's really cool is not only are we hearing more from Daryl, what did you guys think about Carol's hallucination of Daryl's story. I want to get your thoughts specifically to that story and Carol's vision of Daryl. See, we got to see a story of Daryl, not only from his dialogue, but from people's fantasy interactions with him. That Carol sees that closeness, and she sees him as someone that is in the kitchen cooking breakfast. Or she also sees him as somebody that she takes almost a belittling approach to. When she talked about his dad and I'm not like that. And with all due respect, I don't want to be like your family. I think that told a lot about who Daryl is. It was a way they could kind of get that in our minds. So, how many people think that Daryl must be there in some capacity for Carol because of either Henry or because of what's going to happen with Ezekiel, that Carol needs that availability? I do as well. And I think the Connie situation clouds that just a little bit. Hold on one second. Gabe absolutely had a question, and Gabby had a question too. Sorry, Wilson. It's demanding 3Gs. Will the Bill, our whole group just can't be torn apart like this. We need Fear the Walking Dead writers for first half. You know what? Kels, that needs a kills coin. Yeah, that very profound statement. So, Will, your super chat is good, but I also think it plays in to the Maggie narrative. So, once again, let's look at the history of Walking Dead. And I don't want to overly simplify it, but it is fairly simple to a degree. The group gets in trouble, they relocate, they rebuild, it gets burned down, they get in trouble again, they have some internal strife, they relocate, they rebuild, they get in trouble, it gets torn down, they relocate, they rebuild. So this has happened like at least 4 times. And here we are 10 years, and it's not like that's what we make the show, because there are these interpersonal relationships and strategies and everything else. But the overarching theme is that. So it's going to happen again in the second half. But one thing that is going to change is it's going to be, I could do like a drum beat if you guys want, like boom, 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 boom. But if I could like give you an audio of what the second half is going to be like, I think that's going to be the second half. It's going to be like a chase and a hunt, and it's going to get faster and faster and faster, and the deaths are going to be quicker, and the points to prove are going to have to happen quicker. So there's not a lot of time for love. I mean, let's be honest here. Even though those that think that Connie and Daryl are going to hit it off, it kind of makes more sense that she dies, and then it pushes him a little bit quicker and faster, and Alpha is probably one of the ones that's just sort of mocking everything that's going on. So I think to Will's point, Fear the Walking Dead kind of keeps everybody around. But what Negan is going to have to do, what Judith may go through, what Maggie is going to mean to the show, I think all those things don't happen unless we get some serious sacrifice in the second half. And reading between the lines with some of the people who they're doing interviews, they can only give us what they can give us. But it does appear as if it's going to be kind of like The Walking Dead again, where people just die. They kill people off faster. So another question I have for the group. Other than this past season when the writing got really, really good, would you agree that more people like The Walking Dead when it was like Game of Thrones and they would just kill anybody, anywhere, anytime? That was the whole shock factor. I mean, I'm not going to harp on ratings. I know there's ratings watchers out there, but that was the show. So in contrast to what Will just said, not picking on Will, but I think it's a great point. Maybe we don't need the group to continue to grow and to continue to flourish. Maybe that small number or losing some of the mainstays well, see, Najee, and I think that's the challenge, is a good story, but this story is told, for the most part, with danger and death and sacrifice. And the deaths need to be impactful. Jesus' death was weak in my mind. Jesus was a good character, could have been a great character. I thought it was one of the weakest deaths on The Walking Dead. Now, let's be honest here. Spoiler sites probably undermined the shock factor in Jesus' death. Like, if you didn't know what was going to happen and it was a complete shock, it might have been better. But I think because it was talked about a month before it ever happened, it wasn't the kind of aha moment. So in season 10, so far in season 10, what is the biggest death? No. I mean, up to this point. Not what's going to happen in season 10. A lot of people are like, Alpha's already going to die. Nick Whisperer. Rebecca says, Nick. I love it. Great answer. Sadiq. Sadiq's death is the biggest death in season 10. And I would argue it's meaningful. They told a pretty substantial story with Sadiq. But he's still not one of your big dogs. He's not one of your core people. He ain't a Eugene. He ain't a Rosita. Not a Father G. I mean, somebody's been here for a couple seasons that, he got some additional face time because they were going to kill him. But I think what do you think? The last big death we got was Tara last season. Would you say Tara was the biggest death from the initial Pike scene? So, if Tara was the biggest death from the Pikes, even Enid, whoever, I mean, take your pick. One would still argue that the lack of transparency and not seeing what really happened until this year was almost as unfulfilling as the death of Jesus. So as good as the story is, I would argue that neither death just blew people away. So let's go back a little bit. How about Simon? How many people were super excited that Negan and Simon got into one of those old 1920s, tie one hand behind your back and punch you with the other hand, and Negan choke slam Simon to death? So how many people thought the Simon death was a good death? I am one that would say no. I think Simon was the biggest waste of a character ever. I wanted Simon to survive, but look, I'm not the authority on all deaths. If you liked it, you liked it. No worries. Some people were glad Simon got killed. And then prior to Simon's death, what did we have? Did we have Carl? So, how many people were super excited that Carl went to a church and shot himself? And look, I'm not dogging on The Walking Dead, but I want to articulate the point that someone just made a little bit ago, that we need a good story and we need meaningful deaths. So, Carl shoots himself. Simon gets choked to death by Negan. Tara dies, and we don't see what really happened with Tara. If that would have been lumped in, if we would have saw that at the time, even a little bit more of it, even if we would have saw Alpha, and look, they didn't have to hold Sadiq's eyes open, but if we would have saw more of that story at the time it happened, I would argue that the Alpha killing scene could have been as big as the Negan lineup scene, but it wasn't. And then we get to this season, and Sadiq gets choked by a traitor. So based on that, I'm going to throw it out there to the group. When was the last really moving, really shocking, really impactful Walking Dead death to you? So I want to get your thoughts here. Sasha, Glenn and Abe, Herschel, Beth, Glenn and Abe. All right, so few people saying Dante, but for the most part, you've got the group going back to Glenn. So we're going back 3 seasons for something that was really moving, really well done, and really dramatic. Robin Vance says Gregory. Jesus, what you did with those saviors, that was right. What Gregory did, that was wrong. We're going to hang him. The Gregory, I'll give you that. I mean, Gregory holding true to the comic storyline, sure. I mean, it wasn't bad. I think it was kind of what was expected. The Brandon death, okay. Jay, I'm fine with that. I think the Brandon death was good. Spencer, there you go. Spencer was another one. So I'm not trying to, certainly say one viewpoint is right, and especially as we get into predictions, because I think the foundation is important. If we're going to come up with like what's the next shocking moment or what's going to blow people away, I don't know that there's a single death. Now, Michonne would be wow. It'd be mind-blowing if Michonne died. I don't think that's going to happen. But it would certainly, I would argue, if Michonne died, it would be the biggest death in the history of The Walking Dead, which is why I don't think it's going to happen. And I think that goes in a movie direction. But there's one thing that we've got to give some consideration to. The comic is not always true, but we are missing Ezekiel and Rosita on the pikes. So is there anybody here that would definitively say and make a bold prediction without any reservations whatsoever that you think both Ezekiel and Rosita will end up dead in the second half? So, it was shocking in the comics. Most have let their guard down to a degree right now. Look, nobody here, like almost nobody in this audience, expects it to be both. So, that's a little weird, isn't it? Like, with the other deaths, because the comic was the script, it wasn't shocking. Now we've got the script of 2 people that could get a second pike. And what happened in the comics, if it were to repeat itself, would be very shocking. I just think that's a good play. I think it works to the writer's advantage. Christian Serratos has some other projects going on. Ezekiel is a little complicated. So, I'm going to ask this in a weird sort of way. Did the writers give Ezekiel cancer in order to save him? Did they make it look as if he was doomed in order to find a way to save his life? I mean, the whole going away with Maggie or Commonwealth, or, maybe somebody radios in that he needs some help. Is it possible? And several of you mentioned this, and it didn't make sense at the time, but it certainly makes more sense now, because to me at the time, the Ezekiel thyroid cancer seemed like a way for him to do something bold, to do something brave, to kind of win favor with Carol again. But now that I look at the conversation he had with Sadiq, and he said in another time, and, apparently this treatment is not a very complex treatment, and it's probably a treatment that the group at Commonwealth, they can save Rick. I mean, Rick had rebar all the way through, and we know Rick is alive because they're making movies. But if they have the resources to maybe find a new pair of glasses for Heath to save Rick's life, then it stands to reason that they would have the resources to treat thyroid cancer, which is a very high percentage of being treated. So, is that the link between the two? So, I need you to think about this for a minute. If Ezekiel's thyroid cancer is not a central part of the story, why give him cancer if you're just going to kill him? Think about that for a second, and then give me your answers. Just roll the dice around. Say, hey, we need to, Ezekiel's going to die. Alpha's going to cut his head off, put it on a pike. But let's really put him through hell first, and let's have him have cancer for 2 episodes. Just doesn't make sense, does it? So with Ezekiel, I only see 2 possible paths. And that's why the first path felt so good for me. Because I'm like, look, him and Carol, they don't talk, they don't get along. He's got a chance to go in, like a knight in shining armor and say, hey, I'm going to die anyway. Let me take out a few people along the way. I like that story. I thought, that's a good way to go. He probably, and look, I'm just being honest here. I don't think you pike somebody. I don't think the writers would pike somebody. They'd have to show that big tumor on his neck at the same time. Just because if you were going to pike him, you just pike him. You don't make him have cancer and then pike him. But I like that. I like that, he's been kind of acting like a coward, and this sort of raises his stature a little bit. But now I'm starting to feel like, no, one, how many people here love Corey Payton? I mean, you think he's a tremendous actor. He's a breath of fresh air. He's a good person. Kind of person, you just want to cheer for him. You love him being on the show. See, that in itself is probably a reason not to kill him, right? And I'm not saying they just write the story based on whether we like them. But I would say that King Ezekiel is somebody that could probably be forgiven for being a little, I won't say wimpy, but slow to act or slow to go after revenge or slow to honor Henry. Because he's in mourning, I think he gets a little bit of a pass, one. Number two, I think the actor's so good, so he gets a pass for that. And we love him. And Taya, I think he's broken and he's sick. So, I mean, there's additional reasons to it. But I still want him to go, at some point, I want him to unbreak himself and go do something, because you're gonna be broken to death if you don't take a stand. And I believe he will take a stand. But now, whereas before I thought he would take a stand and it would be a suicide mission, now I feel like he's going to take a stand, and he's also going to be a long-term fixture on the show. I don't see him leaving now. I see him being around for a while. And I think that's why it's important that he's redeemable. I don't care. I'm going to use the word redeemable. I mean, not that I think he's super lost, which is why I think he's more redeemable. But I would have been more likely to say he's probably, at the beginning of the season, I would have been more likely to say he's going to be the one that's going to die. But then when I saw he had cancer, and then Sadiq died, and then, we get Eugene on the radio, I think the Commonwealth has the resources to bring him out of it. Now, what's the price? What's the cost? How the Commonwealth is going to be portrayed? I have no idea. I'm anxious. I want to know. I want some bits and pieces. But I'm anxious to see what the price is. One of the other things that I want to talk about from a bold prediction standpoint is the Beta Lydia dynamic. If you had to choose between who you think, not who you want, who you think will likely be on the show longer, Gamma or Lydia, who do you think is more likely to be on the show next season? See, I love these because more people are saying Lydia, which is good. Because when I see the masses come out in droves and say it's Lydia, see, to me, that's like bait as a writer. Because as a writer, what I'm thinking is, oh, we're going to take Lydia away. We're going to throw the audience a little bit of a curve. Because most of the audience thinks that Lydia is going to be there. See, I don't. I got to go with the minority on this. I think Beta kills Lydia. I think Gamma is is the one that seems like she could cross over. And this is why I see when I ask this, a lot of people, they just kind of blurt out because they think with their heart, I really like Lydia, and, Lydia deserves the chance. But is Lydia part of the community? Is Lydia always going to be that, person that runs away? She doesn't adapt well. You step on her toes a little bit. Then she goes out. She's Team Lydia. She's all for herself. She doesn't need Carol's help, doesn't need Daryl's help. She can't sit down and have a normal conversation and say, hey, it was a misunderstanding. I'm still learning this thing. And yeah, Carol, I know you set me up, you used me, but this is still my home. This is still my people. No, she runs out in the wilderness. That's going to be a problem. We have to acknowledge that is going to be a problem. But Gamma seems to want something a little bit different. And let's think about this for a minute. For the next phase of The Walking Dead, where do you see Lydia fitting in? I mean, when we transition from the Whisperer War, if Lydia were to survive, where does Lydia fit into the Commonwealth story? I mean, is this going to be Fuller House? I mean, I got an audience that says Connie needs to stay alive, Lydia needs to stay alive. So I think we're making this into Friends, where Daryl comes home, sees Connie, gives her a kiss on the cheek, tells a bedtime story to Lydia. This is The Walking Dead. Hey, you need to eat them vegetables. I don't care. I mean, people are going to die. I'm trying to understand the Lydia value, the Lydia story, but I can't find a way that Lydia fits in with that, except now, if she kills Alpha, then maybe. If she leaves with Negan and they start another Saviors 2.0, maybe. Maybe the two outcasts. Now, see, that's something I could get into. A spinoff. But if you're telling me that Negan, who's the outcast, is going to come back and everybody's going to accept Negan, and then Lydia is the outcast, she's going to come back, it's going to get a little bit weird. I think the paranoia is just going to be constant. Even when Alpha's dead, the paranoia is still going to be there because you don't know. You don't know who's next. Lydia grows up. There you go. Yeah, Lydia stays around, and in about 5 or 6 years, she shaves her head and decides she wants to be the new Alpha. All right. I'm down for that. So Crystal says, could easily see season 10 end with all three Oh, they're gone. They're gone. Oceanside is gone. Alexandria looks to be overrun. There is no kingdom. And there's rumors that there's a big fire or some other stuff that's going to go on a hilltop. I don't know. I don't know if that's part of what happened in the first half or what. But I think they're all ending up at Alexandria. They're all ending up at Hilltop. But regardless, and this falls into the storyline. I mean, our group, this was a challenge too. And you guys, do me a favor. If you guys remember this discussion, hit the like button. How many people remember last season when they were transitioning over right after the Red Fair, and we said, our group's spread out a little bit. Our group is a little weak. They're a little bit too subservient. They're a little bit too beat down. Right? I mean, we discussed this. There are some things that our group has done that seems certainly out of character. Like, they fought so many times, and I'll give you a couple examples. Michonne not sneaking in with a katana and killing Alpha. Why wouldn't she do that? Michonne is a badass. But Michonne has been... We do what she says. We listen to their rules. She's all about trusting Alpha, but then keeping an eye on her. In fact, Judith was one of the ones that kind of opened her eyes a little bit. And then, Michonne's basically like, what Judith says, can we trust the skins? And Michonne says, they say we can. Well, that doesn't mean nothing. To me, that's very naive. Like, our group thinking that they can live with these people only for it to be proven a couple episodes later that you can't. Because you can't. So there was a little bit of naivety written into our characters this season. The same tough characters. Now, let's think. Sadiq had PTSD, and Sadiq was paranoid. Rosita, she was pregnant. So she probably was more worried about giving birth than going out fighting people. Eugene's always a weasel. Negan's been in jail. So, yeah, I mean, we probably could have had a tough Rosita, a Sadiq that was mentally stable, and a Negan who was out of jail, and then our group might have been more powerful. And I tell you all of this for one reason. Is those saying that the other communities like Crystal are going to be torn down and they're all going to regroup? Absolutely. That's what it's all about. They have to go through loss and tragedy and despair. And I think my exact quote at the beginning of the season is, our group will have to be broken down again like Rick Grimes, snot bubble Rick Grimes, with their back against the wall, and then they'll all band together and they'll fight together. But the one missing piece that we've discussed is who would lead that group. And now you got Michonne out on an island. You've got Carol, who God only knows what Carol's going to do next. You've got Negan with the other group, and Maggie getting ready to come back, and Ezekiel is dying of cancer. Wow. Where are we going to get it? Feels like it's going to be Maggie, doesn't it? I mean, for a lot of people that are saying the group doesn't need Maggie, I think one would argue the group probably needs Maggie more than ever. And that is an intentional storyline. Look, if they wrote the characters to be naive and now they're going to write them to be smart, well, they write the characters to be weak and in need, and now you write Maggie into the storyline. So it makes sense for a good comeback. But, and this is a big, big factor, and it goes back to Najee Watts, your point. If nobody dies and it's just about the same character, what is Alpha doing? And why do we need Maggie? So, Najee, this is where I would fundamentally disagree, is that I do think the second half needs death to push the storyline along. I think it needs to complete the Alpha arc, because I think the Alpha arc has so much potential right now that is the spotlight. Look, some of the subplots, certainly Michonne leaving, that's a big deal. Daryl stepping up and talking more, that's a big deal. But Alpha needs to finish what she started. Not totally finish it, but she needs to push the group to the brink. And then the tables have to turn. So, the last bold prediction we're going to make, and we just hit an hour. I'm going to ask you, what turns the tables? If it's possible that Alpha has the upper hand and she's choking them out, and it's almost nothing, what event could happen in the second half that could turn the tables and actually give our group a little bit of hope? Because I think they're going to get to the point of complete and utter despair over the first 4 episodes of the second half. And there's a lot of good comments in here. The Horde destroyed. Michonne Deathwood. Yeah. See, Matthew, I'm talking about before. And I know you guys are saying, well, big picture, Alpha's death. I think Alpha's death is going, not the turning point, I think that's going to be after the turning point. I think that potentially could be the end result. But I don't feel like Alpha's going to die and then it's going to be, all right, now we got the upper hand, let's weed everybody else. I think it's going to have to be get at least to even keel, and then that gives you a chance to kill Alpha. Maggie coming in. A lot of good thoughts, a lot of good possibilities there. Negan and Maggie team up to save the group. That would certainly be a partnership that a lot of people don't see coming. And I think it's brilliant, Jay Smart. I think it's absolutely brilliant that after 7 years, maybe Maggie could see the only way she could win is with Negan's help. Eugene to the rescue, says Jay. It's a good point. When Maggie gets word, Jesus, Enid, and Tara, Maggie's got some skin in the game too, right? You know, we act like, because we were a little angry at the actor for leaving, but let's look at just Maggie's character alone. She lost Herschel. She lost Beth. She lost Glenn. She lost Tara. Maggie's lost a lot. So once we get over the fact that she left and she's coming back, if you just get into the core of the character, she's got as much reason to want vengeance as anybody else. And I think that'll play out exceptionally. Hey, everybody, we are 1 hour in, and a lot of bold predictions tonight, right? What's going to happen in the cave, who the Pike scenes could be, which characters might survive it and last. I mean, we had some good debate around who's going to live, who's going to die. Daryl's relationship status. Will he be Daddy Daryl or Husband Daryl? Or will he always be Lone Wolf Daryl? A lot of good topics to talk about. I appreciate hanging out with you guys each and every night. This is our last bold prediction of 2019. Tomorrow night, we are going to be getting into our gaming roots a little bit. If you guys know, my background is gaming, and tomorrow night we've developed Play Dead Live, which is just a combination of so many different games that are out there. Unique idea, social aspects. We're doing a mega event pack opening to get some of our brand new PDL characters geared, even some of our veterans. So tune in for that tomorrow night. We're going to do a Freestyle Friday. We got Kills Coins. It's going to be open topics. Once we get through the pack openings and we got people a little bit geared, we're going to bring a new element into Play Dead Live, which is going to be our duels. So we've done scenarios, we've done Storm in the Castle, King of the Hill, campaigns. Tomorrow night, we're going to do some sample duels. We're going to pick 2 random players, geared, ungeared, whatever the case may be, and have them showdown, and then one person gets eliminated. We go gladiator style, and then one person advances, so on and so forth, until we crown a winner. It's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday morning, we're going to do Coffee with Kills. We're going to hang out. And then we're probably going to take Sunday night off. We'll do a stream on Monday, and then we'll have about 3 or 4 days off for people just to enjoy the holidays. So we'll make announcements well in advance. catch a stream. Just look for postings every other day. I don't know that we're going to have a set committed schedule. A lot of people are going to take a little bit of time off. And then we did make the announcement a little bit earlier that on the 27th, we're going to roll some Play Dead Live characters. And we're also that night going to count down the top 99 songs of all time. So we'll hang out. We'll do a little bit of singing, drinking, partying, whatever the case may be, just a couple days before New Year's. That'll be next Friday that we're going to do that. And, we've done some countdowns, I think, into random things. And they're always a good time coming up with our list. Good debate on, which is the best band, the best song, so on and so forth. So that's kind of what's going on. Amanda wants to know, does she get to play tomorrow? If you're here tomorrow, you can duel. Get in and fight. Amanda, you might be fighting Father Ron. You might be the one that has to fight a priest in the first round if you're up to it. So that's what's going on, everybody. Hey, thanks, everybody. Appreciate everything that you guys do. Be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. It's an earlier stream. Once again, if you guys don't know what the pack opening is going to look like, it is going to be an event. So there's going to be at least 30 packs available. If people go crazy and they want a super gear, I'll have another screen. I'll set up another few packs for anybody that goes overboard. We're also going to have some of those metallic blue packs. Those, if you can read at the top, are Kills collections. They're going to be limited editions. They're going to be some of my favorite cards throughout the history of gaming. So it's going to be very, very limited edition. And if you pick one of the packs and it is blue, you'll get to pick one of the blue packs. And then I'm going to let you know what class it is. So there's going to be no guesswork there. It's going to be class specific. It will be something that will help your group. So if you're an engineer and you get one of those, it'll be something that is engineer related. And we're only going to have 7 of those blue packs available. There's going to be one unique item for each class. So I will see all of you tomorrow night. Thanks for everything that you guys do, and be here at 8. Peace.